So HBO backs inclusion of Harry Potter author in show based on book series amid accusations of transphobia. So backs the inclusion of the creator of Harry Potter in a show about Harry Potter. How that just seems to make so much sense to me. The like not including her would make zero sense to me. She made the whole thing. This incredibly profitable intellectual property. She made it. But, you know, woke people, there's a few fringe weirdos.
Small fringe minority
of activist lunatics that got really cross at her. Why did they get cross at her, I wonder? Well, let's take a look at this first. HBO has defended its decision to collaborate with author JK Rowling on its upcoming Harry Potter television series after being questioned about her women's rights activism, which has enraged the transgender community and its allies. Rowling, a British liberal author, has been a vocal supporter of female-only spaces and has experienced significant criticism as a result. The author has stood firm in the face of years-long backlash, reiterating her stance that she does not support trans-identifying men who believe they are women invading women's spaces. This is why I guess it's like a big deal that HBO is saying, yeah, we want her involved. Yeah, it's like her thing. She made it up. I think it'll help. And we don't care. We don't care about the rest. So trans activists have been harassing her forever. What did she do? What started it all off? Let's show you. She said this: if sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth. Well, that doesn't sound so fascisty to me. That seems pretty reasonable. That's from June 6, 2020. The idea that women like me, who've been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences is a nonsense. A nonsense. So what she's doing is accurately describing reality. I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. So none of this sounds crazy or phobic. It just sounds perfectly reasonable. JK Rowling, also always a liberal, totally Trump deranged. I don't know how Trump deranged she is these days, but always just a liberal, get more of an old school liberal, feminist kind of, and that's not enough in progressive woke world. You got to go all the way with them. You got to go right off the cliff with them, or else guess what? You're Nazi. You're the Nazi writer. You're the phobe. Interestingly here, we're going to come back to this. Naomi Wolf at the time wrote something critical of J.K. Rowling. And this is a little rabbit hole we're going to go down further because interesting things happened with Naomi Wolf. So for these perfectly reasonable things that J.K. Rowling said, it just set off a years-long storm of criticism and death threats and moral panic over her. Here, Daniel Radcliffe says, ignoring J.K. Rowling's transphobia would be immense cowardice. Immense cowardice. Let's see, doing the thing that presents exactly zero risk to your career is the brave thing. It feels like the immense cowardice is doing the easy thing, right? Taking the path of least resistance, which is what he's doing here. Siding with her would have had risk. That would have included risk to him, risk to his career, because people would call him a transphobe. So the cowardice, to me, appears to be what he's actually doing there, right? He's doing exactly what he needs to do to preserve his place in Hollywood, to keep getting work. That's not bravery. That's not courage. That is the cowardice. Let's see. What's this? HBO stands by J.K. Rowling's on the most ironic day possible. So what's this? That's into, into, just to show you some of the things here that we've got. Let's see. Through accusations of black mold-induced psychosis and being sued by an Olympian, JK Rowling has stood firm in her anti-trans beliefs, spanning the internet countless posts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so you see the point, right? Just constantly being attacked. And for what? For what? If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. Well, that's just an accurate description of reality, isn't it? Isn't that what that is? I think that for the activists, for the progressives, for the woke zombies, they get really mad when you accurately describe reality, because there's not really an argument against that. I mean, reality just always has a better argument than like woke delusion or ideological delusion. It just does, because it's real and people will notice that. If you're starving to death, you're going to notice it. It doesn't matter if the commissars tell you that you're getting plenty of food. JK Rowling slams activist actors who doxed her during trans rights protests. So what happened here? Let's see, make that a little bigger. Last Friday, my family's address was posted on Twitter by 3 activist actors who took pictures of themselves in front of our house, carefully positioning themselves to ensure that our address was visible. So, yeah, this was from November 22nd, 2021. It's been years of this craziness, constant death threats. I mean, hey, look, with the death threats, I guess that's kind of being famous on the internet. But it's all quite absurd. And what over? What over? If sex isn't real, then there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. This all just makes sense to me. It isn't hate to speak the truth. That's not how the lunatics see it. The lunatics do see truth as hate. Anything that doesn't conform to their ideology, we've said it before on this channel, haven't we? We've said it. We said they don't try and fit their ideology into the world. They try and fit the world into their ideology, and they don't care if they break the world to do it. And they don't care how many people they have to break to do it. Here's the tweet. See, I know and love trans people, she says. Like, total bigot, obviously, right? Just because she doesn't agree with every fucking crazy thing that doesn't make any sense. But I wanted to go back down to here. So who is this? This is somebody we've heard about the last few years, who's been well known for a long time, crazy feminist for a long time, Dr. Naomi Wolf. She's quoting JK Rowling here. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. She's criticizing this. She says, such a reductive view of women's lived reality, and there is no fixed truth about what sex is. Views of female gender have changed over centuries. They used to think our wombs traveled. Why is okay, so it goes on, just nonsense, right? Let's see. There is no fixed truth about what sex is. There sure is. It's called biology. Views of female gender have changed over centuries. Yeah, pretty much that entire time, nobody thought that chicks had dicks, right? Like, we're getting into some pretty basic stuff here. So biologic reality, right? Reductive view of women's lived reality. So this is from June 10th, 2020. So what happened around that time and what continued to happen? There's a little something called a pandemic, called the COVIDs, called the jabs. Something happened to Naomi Wolf. So this is where she was. This is where she was, a lefty back in June 10th, 2020. Something changed. So there she is criticizing JK Rowling for saying totally normal things, and then criticizing the totally sane things that JK Rowling said. So interesting. Let's see. Naomi Wolf, let's take a look at her Twitter today. Here she's retweeting Nancy Mace. We see you and we stand with you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Nancy Mace. Well, what is she saying?
I just wanted to take a minute and say how profoundly grateful I am to Nancy Mace for standing up for women and girls in America. The amount of death threats and rape threats and disgusting comments directed towards women like Nancy, women like us, women like me, who dare to tell these men no. I joke about it all the time. I post that.
Talking about men and women's spaces. So Naomi Wolf just reposted that. Isn't that interesting? She's reposting gays against groomers. Breaking, a California school is silencing female athletes for defending their rights, comparing their Save Girl sports shirts to swastikas. Of course, typically hysterical. The message is clear. Woke political slogans encouraged. Speaking up for fairness in sports censored. Fairness is now bigotry. She's reposting gays against groomers. So let's go back. This is where she was in 2020, talking about how the reductive view of women's lived reality, criticizing JK Rowling, no fixed truth about what sex is, seems to have had a major change. From The Atlantic, and this is from September 12th, 2023, from feminist to right-wing conspiracist. Interesting. What Naomi Wolf's Odyssey can teach us about seeing patterns where they don't exist. Now, this was all about her skepticism about the vaccines, the mRNA vaccine, about the Pfizer jabs. How about this? So this is from, when is this from? October 30th, 2024. So very recently, liberal icon Naomi Wolf endorses Trump. He's being more inclusive. So this is interesting, isn't it? Liberal icon and feminist author Naomi Wolf endorsed former President Donald Trump, highlighting how he was being more inclusive. Where did she say this? She said this in an interview with Steve Bannon, the host of the War Room podcast. Wolf added that the Republican Party had become the unity party and Trump was leading it. So she had previously worked as a presidential campaign advisor for former President Bill Clinton and former Vice President Al Gore. Now she's supporting Trump. She's supporting Trump now. She supported him in the election. So she is now out. Now the left hates her. She's a far right-wing conspiracist, right? So I find this very interesting, and it's a trend I think we've been seeing along with, say, like Tulsi and RFK Jr. and Elon Musk and others, Brett Weinstein, a bunch, that the left, the progressives, the lunacy of wokeism, of progressivism, of cultural Marxism is driving people away. It's driving liberals away. All those people who just identified as being on the left and being liberals eventually had to just acknowledge the fact that the Democrat Party, or modern leftism generally across the West, is no longer liberal. It's illiberal. And if they want to speak their mind, they've got to go to the other side. That's where the unity is. That's where the heterodoxy is. That's where you don't have to agree with everybody on everything, but you just find shared things that you agree with. I just thought this was fascinating. When I was researching this, I saw this from Naomi Wolf and read it and went, boy, she's gone 180. It's another one that's gone 180. Another person who's been driven away from the left. Very interesting. But a couple of years ago, probably would have given more pause for thought for HBO, especially since HBO was putting out some pretty woke shit back then as well. But no worries now. No worries. Feels like something. I mean, obviously, we've seen Trump win, right? That's a major thing. Not just win, but win in a landslide, in the sense that he got the popular vote, he got the electoral college vote, he's got the Senate, he's got the House, he's got everything. Seems to be signaling finally a real concrete shift, a serious shift. We have the weird. I mean, we're still going to get the strange odysseys, like where is it? Like the Jaguar thing, whatever this is. You're still going to get it. But it feels like we've maybe reached an inflection point where it's just enough now. Everybody just says, like, corporations look at the popular vote and say, well, there's more non-crazy people than there are crazy people now. So maybe we'll just go back to marketing to the non-crazy people because there's more of them. I don't know, but it's interesting. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.